The following program contains views that are not those of WVTC, iNetworks Communications, their subsidiaries, affiliates, or financial supporters.
Hello, thank you guys for tuning in to WVTC Radio. And I have two amazing men on the show that have been pillars and has just making a great impact in our neighborhoods and communities. Without further ado, hold on. I forgot to mention, WVTC Radio is a two-time Stellar Award winning station, right? And so I am so excited that they have the next submissions coming up, and thanking WVTC Radio for allowing me to be on the platform. So shout out to Frank, Q, and Ramon for trusting in me to also be the publicist of the station. We got some amazing stuff up and coming, and so we're here. Started small in numbers, but a big impact. Like I said, we got the same award that Marvin Sapp and all those big name gospel people have, Kurt Franklin, so on and so forth. So I'm just honored to be on such a platform. So with that being said, I got Mr. Harris and Mr. Whittaker on here. So paper, rock, scissors. Since Mr. Harris is first, I want to let him tell you guys who he is and what he got going on.
All right. Well, first off, congratulations, Miss Cynthia. That's a big deal. Even having a platform, right, to get the messages, get the stories out. That's most important when we talk and communicate. That's how we get through things. So good work on that. Congratulations. Again, I'm Jermaine Harris. So my day job, what I do professionally is I'm a lieutenant with Chicago Police Department. I always say that that's my job, but it's not who I am. Often people will be like, I'm when they describe their careers and their professions. But I think most importantly, I'm a father. I'm a neighbor, right? I'm a son. Like all these things that make up who I am is how I do my job, right, professionally. And so I think that's the part that's most important. And again, I introduce myself, proud West Sider. Anybody who talked to me more than 5 seconds ago know I'm gonna say I'm from the West Side. Raised in Austin, I live in North Lawndale now. So so much of who I am, and it really made me right from this community that I grew up in.
We appreciate you, Jermaine. For a second, they tried to take you away from us, but we're glad they done pulled you back on this side of town.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So I met Ed through you, Jermaine, and so I had the pleasure of playing basketball with Ed, and I like to say he play all right. He good. he ain't as good as me, but I see he got some handles, and I seen his little jump shot. So I'm gonna throw that in there. He got a little game on the court. So good job.
Now you're an award winner too. So wait, I'm gonna make sure you tell them about you're an Emmy nominated person. So go ahead.
Please do.
Well, I want to first start off by saying, yes, my name is Ed, and definitely Cynthia. I want to thank you for giving us this platform to speak, tell our story, and with your awards. I know there are more coming because I've seen you out, and you have inspired me to do more. So I've been trying to do more on social media. I saw you with one of my fellows, Aisha Oliver. I think it was last week. I was like, man, these two women are everywhere. So it kind of reminds me to stay in the community and stay out there. So about me, I am a husband, a father, a brother, a child of God. I am a proud West Sider. Went to Weston House. I always rep my green and gold wherever I go. As Jermaine said, within 5 minutes, I'm like listening for those little cues to say, all right, you went to Marshall. I don't like you. Nah, I'm joking. But, so I've been in the community and on the West Side all my life. I grew up in North Lawndale. I now live in Austin. As a career choice, I chose to be a police officer. So I am repping the Austin community where I live and work. So super proud of that.
Awesome.
Emmy.
So with that, So
Yeah, man.
Wayne said you
Yeah,
got a sport.
I was gonna get to
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
it. All right. So through my collaborations with the police department and other non-for-profits, Chicago West Side Police Youth and Sports Conference, I think it was about 3 years ago, we were nominated for an Emmy based on the positivity that we did during the COVID era. So we have not necessarily a program, but we have a collaboration efforts through the police department, local non-for-profits, and a faith base. And what we do is we bring a holistic version of sport to kids that need it.
Oh,
So what we did, yeah, HBO found out what we were doing in Chicago, so they flew from Atlanta. They interviewed myself, they interviewed Jermaine Harris, my partner Officer Martinez, and we kind of gave them our stories, like playing basketball and different things like that, and midnight basketball. The name of our episode was Level Playing Field. If anybody wants to still watch it, it's called Level Playing Field, episode 1.
wow. I love it. I'm not surprised because, like I said, I've been watching you guys show up in the community in a mighty way. And Jermaine, I tilt my hat to you because I think at one point when I was in a place of distress trying to figure out how to go about getting things, you took time out your busy schedule and met me at Starbucks and sat down. I was like, okay, you got to do this. This is how you do this. So I appreciate you because not a lot of people reach for people, in such a way. So I appreciate that. I just got a couple questions for you guys. I understand that you guys deal in a occupation where it could be hostile, it could be stressful, so on and so forth. So with that being said, Jermaine, how do you handle stress in your life? How you prioritize self-care? Let's start with that. Self-care and mental health.
Yeah, I think, well, first, it's a journey, right? I've been doing this job for 21 years. I know I look so young, my boyish, good looks, but I've been doing this for 21 years, right? And it takes time, right, to evolve to a point where you can manage. And in the beginning, I struggled. I had lots of problems with just from seeing so much negativity, seeing so much was going on. It hurts your relationships. It keeps you this hyper vigilance of like everything's going to go wrong, and it struggles. And I nearly left. Like I probably wouldn't have been here had it not been for me finding something to balance myself, right? And for me,
Wow.
it actually, I always tell everybody, like, how your kids, and sometimes they save you, right? When you're out trying to raise them and give them a great life. So it was really my son getting old enough to start playing sports, right? And that was me as a chance to kind of think back to my own, like as I grew up in high school, and sports was really the way that helped me make friends, helped me keep social, even helped me stay out of trouble, right? Growing up on the West Side. And so I got a chance to kind of reinvest that right back into communities through him. And that was the part that really shifted my whole life. And it was that understanding of balance, right? The world is complex. It's a lot of things going on. And if we only look at one part, specifically the negative things, and we see ourselves in that, it'll suck you down, right? It sucks you into it. But sometimes you got to step back, see the greater picture, and that'll helps balance us. And so what I ended up started doing it like through youth sports is, I would go from, seeing negative things out on the job, and then go in that same community with kids, families who were playing, laughing, families who were cheering on their kids. And I was like, all right, this is why I'm doing it. This is what the fight it's about. And that kept me grounded and kept me balanced. So I think the advice to anyone really is about balance, right? Too much of anything, right? I don't think is good for us, right? As humans. And it's that understanding that when we might tip into one space, how do you go back into the light, right? To get it going. And I think the weird thing about it, though, sometimes it doesn't take a lot. Like when you're in darkness, like complete darkness, a cave, a little candle, a small little spark can help you see your way through. So it's like understanding, like to grab onto those little small things that can kind of help you stay grounded and help you stay balanced, I think is one of the most important things for me that got me through 21 years.
I love it. Wow. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna actually go another route. Like I've heard Jermaine's story. I love it. Witnessed it for myself. So I want to thank you for putting me in this situations because I do have a son, and I know he kind of, helped me navigate, my son's sporting habits. Um, but what I like to do is self-care. So obviously, most things in the African American community happens in the barbershop or the beauty shop. So obviously, I like to get haircuts every 2 weeks, well, a week and a half. So when you look good, you feel good, and you act a little different. That's just my perspective. Um, and my barber, actually, I've known him since I was 8 years old, so that's for about 30 years. He is, well, he actually helped me get into the fish hobby. All right, so I actually have, I collect exotic fish.
Really?
Yeah, Jermaine may not know this, but I have six fish tanks now, six aquariums. Um, so I have, fishes from like angel fishes all the way to arowanas. So we talking from $10 all the way up to $1,000. So that's what I do. I sit and I watch. So right now I'm in my office. I have a fish tank there. I have a few in the hallway. Have a few in the basement. So
That is so
yeah,
cool. I've
yeah.
been doing fish for about 6 years, and so I recently just got rid of my fish tank. I had this 55 fish tank. I just got tired of the hustle. I mean, managing it, and so I decided to let it go. So I'm happy to hear that somebody else shared that same
Yeah.
love for fish. I mean, that's a
It's a expensive hobby. I'll say that. So when I'm sitting and
Hold
I'm
on,
looking, I start to meditate.
wait. Could one of y'all
we
check
gonna
and
let
see if
him.
we look? Because for some reason it's not showing live on my phone. I done reset my phone 4 times because I need to share this because this information it should be there. I don't know what's
Let
going
me
on
see.
with this.
We just gonna let him slide and say he had a marijuana fish. What was that? What kind of fish you got?
Arowana.
I'm like, we just gonna let that
Arowana.
slide. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Marijuana.
So
That is
so
hilarious.
arowana,
He said,
it's like a electric eel. It's like
I
16
know what
inches
you're talking
long.
about. Ian. I know that went over too.
Yeah.
Like we know we from that is so cool. So I didn't know that Jermaine, I didn't know you had a son. So you
Oh well,
learned something new.
I have. Yeah, I've got two kids. Well, technically, you say kids because that's out of habit, but they're actually adults. My daughter is 25 years old, and my son is 20.
Oh,
So it's kind of going through that journey, right, of raising your kids. And I know we kind of get into even talking so much about what our role is as men and how important it is for us to set that example, right? I've had the chance to do it with a boy and a girl, right? So to kind of see the world through both those lenses. And it's just one of the great, just the great things that we get to do, right? As men is to kind of help pass on the things we've learned, our experiences, and not so much of, don't make the mistakes I made, but actually do more than I've done, right? And sometimes we plan to lose. We know you play not to lose versus playing to win, and you're just in that attitude of kind of being able to push them first. So super proud of them out of that, and so yeah, my two children are pride and joy in my life.
awesome. Good for you. I'm glad. So with that being said, um, Ed, what advice would you give to a single mom raising a boy child?
Seek out mentorship. I think being an adult woman, you a woman should have experienced different men types that she would think that her son can develop from. Meaning, so like if she was in a church setting, it can be a particular deacon that that she found fun to, or a coach. In my profession, I am a coach and a police officer and a mentor. So I have single moms that reach out to me to discipline their sons in a different way that they are. So it's more of just them reaching out to some like-minded men in their circle. Because we are here. You just have to kind of reach out.
And I appreciate you saying that because people often say it takes a village, and don't get me wrong, it does take a village. But
Mhm.
I've to add on to the village part, I go out and create my village, like you just said. I go seek men who I know are doing I go seek men who I see, that's what word am I trying to find? that's walking the steps and doing the necessary steps it takes, because of course we can't just throw our kids with anybody, just because somebody say, oh, okay, I'm doing this. No, you have to, I'm
Nah, I can't do that.
yeah, exactly. The Lord give me the gift of discernment. And so I'm glad you said that. And so I go out and seek people to put in my kids' face to say, okay, this is what these guys have got going on. They from the same place y'all from. They didn't, they transparent with y'all, and this is what it is. So I appreciate you saying that. Mr. Harris.
Yeah, I think one of the things, right, even with that to consider, because as you say that, the challenge is going to be as to where do you find men that are even willing, right, to spend that time? Because here's one of the things that we go through is that
Wait,
like so much of
did y'all see it on Facebook?
what's that?
I said, are we live on Facebook?
I didn't see it. I looked at the page. It's recorded at least, so we can.
Yeah, it's definitely recorded.
Yeah, just drop it later. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that way you can cut out the parts that we do.
Oh no, I'm not unedited, uncut. No,
You say unedited.
All right, but
see, now we're gonna go back to my marijuana fish. Right? Had them
but to the point, right? But to the point, right? You asking the question, right? As putting it in a position of that single mom's or woman's responsibility to do, right? And in a lot of ways, we as men and communities have a responsibility as well. And so those things we get in our head, we're thinking like, okay, I want to, get a great job so I can support my family, so I can give my kids, like, and it's really individual around, my household. And I think one of those responsibilities is that the reality is that your kids live in a world outside of your house. And it's kind of the problems become that influence of positivity needs to reach their friends, the people who may be in their circle, even those guys that they got to walk past to get on the bus. And so when we neglect that and we ignore that responsibility, I think we're doing a disservice to our own families and our own kids when we're thinking about that, because they have to live in a society, right? And it's just that thing about having a nice rose, you got this nice garden, but if you ain't tending to the weeds, right, it's going to get ate up. And I think that's one thing to kind of really consider and understand to the men who may be listening, is that some of that responsibility is on us, right? We have the capacity and ability to be mentors, to be examples, to be role models. And that will reach, larger than just our own kids, right? Being a coach, mentoring at a program, even connecting with you, right? That's an opportunity to reach lots of other kids. And I know what I've always done, right, is my son will participate in me with things while I'm working with other young people, right? It's a chance for us to bond, as father son, but at the same time, it's a chance for me to influence his friends. So I know the kids that are on his team, I know how they think. I know the kids that he around. Like now, I'm confident, right? Because that influence that I'm able to reach at. And so that's just a part of just thinking about, to go along with what Ed talked about seeking that support and being like really well-rounded in the spaces you're in. Some responsibility has to fall on us as men as well.
Wow, I appreciate that. That's pretty interesting, because I deal with a lot of single mothers that are just trying to find a way for their young boys, and so I'm like, well, I can get them, and so I can get them in a room, and so that's why I'm always seeking male mentors to come and help me, because we understand that there's so much that we can't do in regards to young men, and so I appreciate both of you for saying that and stepping up to the plate like you guys have been doing in regards to that. What's the best advice have you guys, well, I would have to ask your kids this, so I'll just say your parents. What's the best advice? Because I was gonna say, what's the best advice you ever gave your kids? But then your kids can be like, that wasn't the best advice.
That's true.
That don't work. So with that being said, Jermaine, what's the best advice that your mother or father has instilled in you as a younger?
Oh man, so my mom, man, we grew up on the West Side. We grew up with housing insecurity, so we lived around, couch surfing, whatever you want, all the different, adjectives you want to give. But I've got two other sisters, and she raised me, lieutenant in policing. She raised my youngest sister, who was a medical doctor, and she raised my middle sister, who was a registered nurse. And so through that advice, the idea around like how she set as a standard was that regardless of the situations, like you have the ability, the opportunity to do whatever if you believe in yourself. And that's confidence, right? And it was just in seeing her as she so hard and struggled to provide for us, even as my father was around. I don't have an absent father, but as my father, as the same way, really always will push us to try different things and to really believe in ourselves and have confidence. And after high school, I ended up going to the Marine Corps, really as an advice from him, as to like, you're trying to figure out what you want to do, not quite sure, try this. And most of the men in my families are veterans, but he tells me, go to the Marine Corps, the hardest branch, right, to kind of push to go to that level. And then even becoming a police officer, right, he came to talk to me like, this could be a great career. He even paid my registration fee, right, to take the test. And so it was just like them really believing and having the confidence, I think was more around not a single thing, but I think it was a philosophy and an idea that believe in yourself, right? And that's probably the biggest enemy for most of us, is the self-doubt, talking ourselves out of things. And once you can get past that, I mean, sky's the limit.
I love it.
Yeah, similar to your story, Jermaine. My mom and dad always preach discipline. Um, I was just talking to my mom about this last week. So she worked for the city of Chicago. She was I don't know what they call them now. I used to call her a lunchroom lady. She gonna kill me when she hear that. But I can't remember the title. But she did it for over 30 years. All right. And she never missed a day. Never missed a day. And as she was telling me that, I was like, man, I don't think I ever miss work either. And then I started thinking back to like high school. On the basketball team, I got the everyday award. Like I'm always there. Like uh, so, my mom and dad, they just worked and worked and worked. So I think I kind of took on those attributes as well. But what they both taught me was just to enjoy the moment, because I think sometimes in life, you be so caught up in what everyone else is thinking, you're not thinking about what's going on for you in front of you. So I think that that's the one thing that I keep enjoying the moment. So my mom, as relates to like confidence, but you may hear it in on this podcast, I stutter sometimes. So uh, in my church, they put the mic in your face and say, "Here, sing." I'm like, but I can't even talk. Like why would you do me like that? That's like
Wait a minute,
trauma.
you in church
You
singing?
know,
You sing in church?
I just told you I was forced to do it. Like, so
Ah,
I'm gonna say no, right?
okay.
But uh, so if so now I'm lucky that that wasn't a big social media type type decade, because
Yeah, yeah, well,
it'll be all over there. I mean, everybody can sing in a car, in the shower. When you're not when you're by yourself. I have the voice of Usher. Shout out to Usher, the Super Bowl. You know, I had it bad. So. But yes, but back to
church,
my parents. They did always push me to keep going and not use that as a crutch. So I'll be, my cousins and my friends call me no talk, no talking, because I couldn't get
wow.
everything out, and that's cool. I actually took that as a challenge to keep trying to talk more. So, and I'm still doing that now.
Oh, I love it. So my son, he used to stutter, but I noticed he would stutter because he has chronic asthma. And so when they would give him this medicine, prednisone, it was a steroid. Some of the side effects, I've just been watching over years. And so even now, although he's off of the medicine, and so now my thing, I mean, off the steroid because it blows you up and a bunch of other stuff. So now I would tell him to think about what you're saying, because when he get excited, and I'm like, think about it, give it, count to three, think about it, and then speak. And I noticed that that's been helping him. So I understand that avenue wholeheartedly. Um, Next question for you, Jermaine. What's the most important lesson that you've learned in your life and or in your personal life?
All right, to get the most important, it's so many, right? Because to be able to deal with things. And I think I want to honestly, I want to go. I think one of the really important things I learned is through life, right? We grow up with different struggles and we go up with different experiences. And what the world tells us is to be embarrassed and ashamed of it. and we hide that and we keep it inside. But really, what I learned from that is that if your ability to go through something and you come out on the other side and you still there, that means you're strong. That means you're resilient. That's some stuff that most people, some of the stuff we go through, especially like as Black people in Chicago, things we go through to be here today, most people would fold under that type of pressure, right? Most people, I shared a little bit about, the housing insecurity we dealt with, like moving around like that, not having a bed, to like most people that would crush them, right? But to be able to go through something like that and then be here today, right? It's not only being a homeowner, but my daughter is a 25-year-old homeowner, right? To be able to go through that and kind of get to that space is really something that you got to own. We got to claim and say, the things that happened to me, the struggles that I went through made me stronger. I'm not embarrassed by it, right?
Wow.
I'm here and I'm proud to be here.
I love it. Thank you. Ed?
Man, I actually don't know. I was gonna piggyback off of Jermaine, but no, I don't know about the different struggles. I don't know. Come back to me.
Sure. Okay. So on the West Side, in the public schools, we're not taught financial literacy, right? We typically don't get that until we're older, and it's like now we're trying to figure it out. Why do you think, how important do you think it is for us to understand that, Jermaine?
So I think even starting with recognizing its value and realizing that each of us, regardless of where you are in your current financial situation, that there's opportunities for you, right? To either grow or to build from it. And a lot of times we use social media for entertainment only. It's some education that's out there. Like YouTube got a lot of video outside of fights, and there's so much that you can do, right? Outside of just doing things to entertain us. And you can train yourself to understand how the market works, how a bank account works, where should you be putting your money, what kind of savings account. Like those are videos you can literally watch. And that's something I'm gonna check out. And to try to, because you don't really know what you're doing. So you need to watch a few and what's the consistent thing and how, and how's that going. And that'll give you a little bit of confidence to kind of step out there and take a chance. And I think it's just so much of what we're taught and what we learn, through our lives as we were brought up, just not having those conversations. And now having an opportunity to be in different spaces and talk to different people, you recognize and understand what conversations are being had at dinner tables that we don't have, right? And that's a lot of what the conversation is about. So I think really the thing is, if you're uncomfortable or unsure, right, just to start learning and watching some videos, start, seeing some things about what are just the basics. So when I get my paycheck, what are just some basic things that I could do with it, right? Versus spending it. And that's another problem we got, right? As we love to show, like we like to show our value. Like you got to see it. It don't do me no good that I got, some money in the bank because can't nobody see it. I got to spend it so you can see. And like that mentality, right, has been passed down to us for so long. And like of what we see as value, it's a little bit of retraining ourselves to be okay with not flashing it and not showing it. And realizing that here I actually got something to fall back on. If something catastrophic happened to me, I could still pay my bills if something happened, right? Or if we want to go and take a trip or we want to do something, I actually got money in the bank to go out and do it. But if we spending it right as quick as we get it, and we putting it out there to try to keep up with the Insta crowd and trying to keep up with what's going on in the hood, we end up behind the ball and we end up lost. But again, just kind of going back to that point of train yourselves, right? Read up on things. Go do the stuff that's not full on entertainment. Like it's so many conferences, it's so many webinars and panels. It's so much that's out here in our city. Yeah, we in this big, major, gigantic city. It's a lot that's out here, but we just gotta leave off the block sometimes and go see what's out there.
Well said.
Yeah, I think there's different forms of financial literacy too. Like I heard your question, Jermaine. I just heard your answer. Um, but I have a quick rebuttal to it. Maybe so back then, I don't think that I was thinking about financial literacy So in this, I know we talked about the schools. I don't remember, or if I gave it a lot of energy to, you know, listen. I'm sure they had some type of financial literacy at my school. I just wasn't paying attention to
What
it.
school did you attend?
So hear me out. Because if you think about it, the teachers that were there, they were considered successful because successful people, right? So they were mentioning it, but we weren't receptive to it. I think nowadays, with because of social media, it's in your face. What is this? The shorts is what they call them on YouTube. Like you're getting a short every like 30 seconds, every 30 seconds. So it's kind of playing with your brain. Now, if they did that back 20 years ago, 30 years ago, um, it would. I'm sure they did it. We just weren't receptive to it because of our culture. Traditionally, yeah, you wanna hide it and show it. But I'm sure the teachers back then did mention it, but not to the extent that it's being taught right now on social media. And
Yeah. Even to go on to that, right, Ed, but I think to your point, responsibility kind of gets from adults to prioritize it and make that something that's important, right? And a lot of times, right, as a coach, you'll tell players something, you don't think they listen it or they don't hear it, and then you'll see them some weeks later saying what you just said. So sometimes they catch it, especially when
yeah,
you're consistent in your points and you're delivering it to them, and that really becomes responsibility on us as adults, right? To again try to get better than what we had. And a lot of that is for us to learn and understand what to pass down to our kids, because we can't really count on systems, especially systems that weren't designed for us to support
yeah,
us and help uplift us. We can't count on that. So it's just really going to be on our responsibilities to start to teach our kids and teach our communities a lot of these skill sets, because it's in the best interest, right, of a lot of systems and a lot of society for us to be broke, to be dumb, to be criminals, to be, it's in the best interest of a lot of people make a lot of money off Black people through our failures and through the mistakes that we make. And so really to break through that, it's got to be us, right, saying that that's a priority and really pushing that in front of our kids.
yeah. So the high school I went to was Westinghouse. So that's that. At the time, it was a career academy. So we were pushing more to have a career. So like automotive, travel and tourism, cosmetology. So that's what they were teaching to me, the financial literacy in that aspect. And not necessarily put this up, credit this. But it was to me it was kind of like where they were you know, preaching entrepreneurship or, a particular career choice.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Um, so you guys just both mentioned social media, and so we can live in this world where we can just this fantasy world. And so, of course, with your level of materialism and finances, we develop all these friends, right? So my question to you is, Jermaine, your turn. What does a real friend or a good friend look like to you?
Oh, so I think for most of us, we don't have a lot of real good friends. And I think because what it takes to be a good friend, everybody can't put that type of work in to be there for someone. Often in relationships, it's we're trying to figure out what we can get out of it, right? And it ends up being one-sided. A real serious friendship, good relationship is mutually beneficial, where both sides are gaining something out of it. And there's not a lot of relationships we're gonna have in life that are like that. There's not a lot of people you're going to be able to trust to put your business out there with that they won't then weaponize or use against you or somehow exploit you, take advantage. So really an understanding like how you get to that point of having this small circle really is about knowing who you are. And that's like the first thing. Everybody tell you a million times, you hear the whole plane and put your mask on first. But the reality is like you always have to start with yourself. Always. We can't seek something from outside if we don't understand what's going on with us inside. And I think once you're confident in that, and for me, I know being confident in who I am and knowing what I want and knowing what interests me, type of people that I don't want to be around, the nonsense I don't want to deal with, it's easy. The flags are easy to be like, this might be a person that, I might talk to every now and then versus this being a person that's in my inner circle. And so so for me, the inner circle is really, really small with people that I feel enough to be a good friendship, because it's in a case where if something happens and I need someone, I'll call on this person, but at the same time, if they need something, they'll call on me. But most importantly, when it's an opportunity or something good going on, I'm gonna share it with you, right? Because I want us to go together. That'd be the key piece, I think, that'd be missing in a lot of ways. People are like, yeah, we help each other out. But what happened when an opportunity come around? Who you share it with? That's how you can tell real quick, right? Who share opportunity with you? You be like, this might be a really good friend. Because most people, that's some stuff you keep together, you keep close to your chest. And so in that, like being able to tell and really going into it and understanding, like you are not gonna have a lot of friends that are good, like good friends. You're not, because it's too much work required to be that for somebody, and you can't do that for a lot of people fully in the right way.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good eloquent way to put that. Sometimes like the friends, like people say the friends and then acquaintance. It's like you almost can't say the definition without putting in acquaintance, because acquaintance is somebody who you just like, being around sometime, but you may not trust them to that point where, with the most sensitive information. But I think a friend is just someone who shares a mutual understanding with you. Um, so every, that particular bond, that a particular bond. That's how I would say the friend. Like for instance, like I have friends that I grew up with. We all went to the same high school. Some of us went to the same college. Now we're friends, but we're not in the friend ship where now I'll still call them and reach out to them for some money or something. Like we don't have that type of friendship. And I think that's what you were talking about, Jermaine, as far as like someone who may not laugh because I'm asking for something. Um, my college friends, we take an annual trip to anywhere. We all married with kids, so we take one annual trip away from the families. You know, so friendship can be strong, can be powerful, but yeah, I think you gotta keep your friends like extremely close. I think I have about like 10 that I
Oh
can
wow,
name pretty quick. Yeah.
that's no. So you guys both mentioned that you have kids, right? And it's just this a question that I just be asking, because believe it or not, I've never seen a superhero movie outside of, I can't even remember. I'm not the superhero person, right? My son still fusses at me because I haven't seen Black Panther, which is the first black.
Ooh.
I know, right? And so we go back and forth with that. So with that being said, Jermaine, if you can be any superhero, who would you be?
Is that one?
Oh my goodness.
He said
Oh, how
that's
you
funny.
do that? It's Black History Month. You better go get on
You
Netflix or some Disney
gotta,
Plus and watch Black Panther. Something.
I know, right? One of these days, I promise you, I'm gonna sit down and watch. I just can't get into that Marvel stuff. I be looking like, okay. Yeah, I know. Pray for me.
So so I watch all the movies, so I'm one of those type of people. And so a little bit of it, a while ago I used to say one particular character, and now as I'm getting older, I'm thinking about it in a different way. And so I used to always say Wolverine because I just like the impossible. So he has a power where
I was
he
about to say you got to
can't
tell
get
me.
hurt.
Okay,
So
I was about to.
he can't get hurt. So you could like shoot him and his body will heal. So he has regeneration, right? And so that was
Okay,
like an invincible, like an immortal, invincible thing where you can't hurt me. So I used to
okay.
always like really cherish that. But as I got older, and then even though it's not because you said Black Panther, but as it starts to be pushed more into just the mainstream, and like this character, like a lot of these characters are like from the 50s, 60s, 70s. And for us to really start to learn about this today, and so why I say the Black Panther is because of what he represents, right? Not in so much of the power and the skills, but what he represented for Black people when we got to see someone that was our heritage on the screen and go to the movies and what that meant. Like that's the power I want, to be able to inspire people, to be able to ignite that fuel, that passion, to to make us really like go and reach our true heights. And so really I call it because of that. That's like just the new evolution of the superhero I want to be. And it's really not because of his powers, but it's more about what he's able to do to inspire us in real life outside of the comic.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
You got
And
it.
I got the Hulk. I think that David Banner is like one of those two-sided people. Um, like he's calm, he's smart, but he also has this particular beast that's inside of him, you know, and he can take over and smash, right? So the Hulk is a big, extremely strong creature who likes to smash. Like I don't think is he immortal, Jermaine? I think he is, right?
Well, in Hulk form, you can't. Yeah, his
In
skin
Hulk,
can't.
yeah, in Hulk form, yeah, he's just a dominating force, a force to reckon with for sure. But when he's in human form, he's one of the smartest, most intelligent people on the planet. So, and when you get him mad, that's where that comes from.
Wow. Okay. So Ed, I'm going back to the question that I asked, and the question
Okay.
you told me to pause on was, I think that question was a life lesson that you have learned in your personal or work life. A valuable lesson.
Life lesson.
A valuable lesson.
Um, Most valuable lesson to understand like therapy. I think
Mm.
as I grew older, I had a stigma of don't let anybody into your business. Um, but my wife of 7 years, after I say, well, we've been in therapy for about 2 years, um, and she kept mentioning it. You know, hey, let's do this, let's do that, and I would always say, hey, no, you know, like I don't need nobody to tell me what to do. I know what I'm doing. You know, I'm a Virgo.
Oh my goodness! Did you say Virgo? Okay, I knew it
Yeah,
was okay.
yeah.
Nine
So you knew it was something, right? It's
14.
like
Okay,
what?
you see my
Can't tell
post?
me nothing, right?
Virgo. Go
So,
ahead.
so that was that was probably the most valuable lesson that I've learned, and I've gained so many different perspectives of like of my life and what I've been through. So shout outs to my wife for kind of passively aggressive forcing me to go to therapy. Uh, and you know, that's why I would go with that. I like that.
Yep.
So I went to church one time, probably 10 years ago, and the preacher talked about love languages, right? And so he kept talking about love languages. I went and got the book, and so now I base my life on love languages. And so anybody that I'm involved with, and it's so crazy because for me it makes sense because we can be pouring and giving into people, and it may not even be one of the things that get them going. So you guys are familiar with love languages?
Oh yeah.
Awesome. So, with that being said, Jermaine, what's your love language? One, two, three, four, five. It's only what? Only five of them. I love the love
So
languages. I love it.
I'm one of the weird people that has like when I take the test, it balances out across several, but I know you have to pick the highest number, like the highest one. And
We'll give you
so
two. Two.
so for mine is no pop is it positive affirmations or
Words of
what's the one
affirmation.
about words of
Words of
affirmation? Yeah, words
acts
of
of
affirmation.
service.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm close, like words of affirmation and acts of service are close
Okay.
for mine. But I'm a weird person that I don't have one that's really low, right? And so that's the part. But you have to rank them by the highest. So it's words of affirmation.
Okay.
All right. So I learned this in therapy as well. I give this. So my wife's nickname is Gifts. So obviously that's her
That makes sense.
affirmation, right? Makes sense.
Yeah, I
Said that I
remember
know this, right? But mine is actually acts of service. Like I like people to do for me, you know. And then quality time. I think quality time is very important. I think my parents has instilled this in me, and because our family every Wednesday we would go out to eat pizza. We always went out to Home Brand Inn on 31st Street. That was like a Wednesday thing. Fridays was like tacos, so they're spending that particular quality time, in a family section, sector, kind of helped me, I guess, just create that quality in myself. So I love some, quality time where we just watching TV or going out to eat.
I love it. I got about
I
two
got.
more questions. Go ahead, Jermaine. I'm sorry.
Hold on, before you go to the next question. So as you ask and you do, was it surprising you that we know our love languages? Is that normal that you come across as you do the show?
So this is probably my 15th episode, and only 2 guys didn't know. I had to tell them what it was, but majority of the guys said, and I'm not surprised. Majority of them said words of affirmation, and I get it because I'm learning men like to be. They like to. You're doing a good job. Da da da. And so I get it. And so believe it or not, and the reason why I centered this around men because this helps me too. So when I'm listening to all these different men talk, and I'm like, okay, that's what it is. That's what it is. Because y'all y'all probably do. The women, we just out here just trying to make it work. Just trying to get in where we fit in. And I tell them like, no, y'all got to understand who y'all dealing with because everybody is different. What worked for this man may not work for this man. So you have to get in tune with him. And so that's why I tell everybody like, check out the love languages because your love language could be gifts. And I'm doing the opposite. And so not until I tap into what you like to do is when I'll see, a different part of you come out. And so people don't get it. And it's crazy because we live in this world where everything is microwave. Everybody wants everything quick, right? Nobody wants to put in the time, put in the work. And, you can go on social media. And like you said earlier, Jermaine, we dress ourselves up to hide what's really inside. Even with you, Ed, I talk to guys all the time. Like you need somebody to talk to because we deal with so much trauma and hurt and all this other stuff. So you can't figure it out by yourself. I mean, it's people get into a relationship after relationship after relationship, and like when do you heal? Like who are you?
And you brought up a good point there too. It's like to kind of get back to the friend part. It's about being vulnerable. You don't know who you can be vulnerable with, so you shelter all that in. So I get it.
So I gotta play this video, right? So Facebook had reached out to me about a year ago, and they was, I had to compete with all these different people about as far as what my nonprofit did or what it do and how it impacts. And I already know once I mention animals, that's like, dude, that's debate because everybody's like, oh my God, you got a horse, you know what I'm saying? That's a conversational piece with me now. And so of course, when I mentioned that, the rest was history. But here's my video that I'm so proud of. Facebook, they sent me these cameras to my house and they had me set up, and it was so cool because I had all these expensive Apple computers and computers. I mean, I'm sorry, and cameras. And my son like, you get to keep those. I'm like, no, son, we have to send these back. But here's the video. My name is Cynthia Manuel. I was born in Chicago, and I am proud to be able to raise my son in Chicago. I work with inner city youth to show them different things outside of their neighborhoods. When these kids walk onto the farm, it makes them feel like they are free. I want these kids to know how to give back, and recycling is one of those ways. Was that not cute? Was that not
That
cute?
was. Cynthia, one of my nicknames.
What?
Take a wild guess. It started with my first name.
Mr.
Mr. Ed. There you go. See?
Hold on, Jermaine. all day.
But that's like even that whenever I see that and how you have the kids, because we city slickers, we city people, and like animals, like we be like, all right, but touching it, like how you get the kids to go that far? They be squeamish, man.
So I think by being different, of course, and see, wait, first of all, you guys do know I'm the police mascot, right? You guys do know that's me in the mascot, right?
I do.
Yeah, I found that out. Yeah.
Okay. And so, and even with me being a Virgo, I'm real, believe it or not, I'm introverted, right? Is that the right word? So I don't have to, I don't have to be around people. Like my anxiety kick in when it's a whole lot of people, right? And so I'll be like, oh no, let me just stay in my corner. I see y'all stay up there. I'm cool back here. I get it. I can see. Leave me alone. And so with the mascot, right? I've did so many mascots now, just with the police mascot. I've been to like soccer games and doing a mascot, Chicago Red Dog, Chicago Fire. I love it. And so now I got this pool of mascots. Like my friend is the mascot for the NBA Sky. Jules mascot, another friend of mine, Joey. He's also the mascot for Harlem Globetrotters, right? So I developed this community with them, right? And so I'm in sync with all of them. I just reached out to the Blackhawks, their mascot, the Wolf, right? And so when I took the picture at the WNBA game, it was about 10 mascots. It was the Bears, everybody but the Bulls. I don't know the Bulls yet, but I know like all the mascots. And so we got this community. And so when they look for people, you know, they like, hey, somebody want to do this? And so it's so cool, right? And so even with
that is cool.
Yeah, right. So I understand, like, even dealing with kids, okay, you got this big old mascot on, and now you run up to kids, and of course they're scared. They're like, oh, you know, we're child alone. And so I get that, because that's my personality. Like, you can't just run up on me, because I'm like,
yeah, it's like Chuck E. Cheese, you know.
Right.
We used to be afraid of Chuck E. Cheese for years.
I up there laughing again. See? Right. And so I understand that. And so now, even with animals, when I first seen that horse, I was like, dude, get back. That thing 1,500 pounds. But as time went on, you know, I realized that, you know, they use horse for therapeutic, for therapy. And so they make a lot of money, the other races. And so now I'm trying to tap into that, because now I need to figure out how to make my move with them, because they getting it. And so, and when the kids go out there, it's like, of course, oh, Miss Cynthia, we scared. But then after so long, and so think about it, everything for us is learned behavior. Because if you take a bunch of kids and one kid's scared, now everybody's scared. You know what I'm saying? So you got to go get so I always push the kid that I know that'll do anything. And so once they touch, now everybody want to follow him or her, and then everybody there.
Yeah. It's a good observation.
Yeah. So it just works in my favor. And you know, case in point, my friend got a pig. I ain't never touched no pig, but I told him I'll be the see, so y'all will be seeing me on Facebook with a pig. What? Right. So yeah, I just that's my thing. I got 2 more questions for y'all, and I'm gonna let y'all go. I appreciate y'all again. So before I ask this, do you guys believe in God?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I forgot who went last, so y'all can just jump in. So so Ed, so Ed, can you tell me your favorite biblical story or Bible verse?
Oh, that's easy.
Okay.
This verse is posted as soon as you walk through my door. So I see it every day. I'm gonna paraphrase it. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. That's Ecclesiastes, 4th chapter, like 9 through 12.
Now say it again. What's the verse again?
A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken.
And what does that mean
So
to
it's to symbolize the marriage. So you got the man, the woman, and then God. And if we all intertwine, can't break it.
I love it. What's your favorite Bible story?
I mean, the first one, the Adam and Eve.
Okay.
So, obviously, with that one, Adam came first, and there was Eve. Then we had the temptation. So, yeah, that's how we got life, Adam and Eve.
I agree. That's what they keep telling us. Jermaine, what you got for us?
All right, so mine, yeah, it's easy to bring it up. Actually, I will always wear a pin for this one. It's the scripture about the armor of God. It's Ephesians 6:10, and it talks about this. It was one of the things that was introduced to me, like as a Marine, as a police officer. It's just this idea of we wear like these suits and these vests, and we go out into these different spaces. But I think most importantly, it's the armor of God that protects us, right? That keeps us righteous, that protects us from evil. And so that's just one of the things that really stays close to me and important to me. to be able to go in them spaces and not let it get on you, right? Not let some of that stuff infect you and be a part of you. So that's the one that guides me. And Bible verse. Let's see. A favorite. So here, I don't want to say, because I know everybody's going to talk about, the crucifixion, but I have to say it, right? Because I have to talk about, just as Jesus, an understanding, he knew what his fate was, and having that courage and that belief and that sacrifice to face your fate, and not run from it, right? And in that ways, and knowing and understanding Judas is going to betray, knowing and understanding all the things that's going to happen. Most of us going to flee town. We're going to be in Sweden, Switzerland, wherever they got no extradition. But to be able to kind of go into that speaks so much about how important sacrifice is, right? And in understanding and knowing that in a lot of the work that I do, sacrifice is one of those requirements. It's just, I can't remember the last time I had a Thanksgiving dinner with my family. It's been so long, because it's just making those sacrifices in order for the greater good. I think it's so important. And I just model that after how Jesus went head on into a storming in the faith that he knew was going to happen. And if he could do it, I definitely can handle, right? Anything could come my way.
I love it. Well, I appreciate you guys for taking time out your busy schedule to come on and talk with me. I appreciate you guys more than you ever would know. Be safe out there. And now it's uploaded. I found it on a WVTC page. So now I shared on my page because I was getting a little nervous that it wasn't there. So this interview won't be in vain. And it'll also be on WVTC. We got an app. And then at some point, I'm going to break out some key stuff that you guys may mention and put it in the reel. And so thank you guys again. And so be safe out there. And I'll see you guys in the community sooner than not.
Thank you.
All right.
Views made on the preceding program are not those of WVTC Radio, iNetworks Communications, or their financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ, WVTC Allsip Chicago, an iNetworks communication station.